Hello, and again, welcome to Bit Depth. I'm Santiago Ramones. Across from me is...
Nicholas Lay.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Sorry it took so long to actually make this happen. Seems like we talked about it almost a year ago or more.
Probably like 2 years ago.
You've done about 26 episodes.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been trying to get you on, but I'm really happy to have you.
Right on, man. I'm glad to be here.
So who are you? What do you do?
I guess first and foremost, human being. I'm a dad, a husband, a musician. I'm a lecturer and a program director up here. I tour with a few different bands with color music of 15 years or so. I joined the Flaming Lips about 5 years ago, maybe a little over 4 years ago, as a percussionist and electronic percussionist mainly, and sort of drummer as well. And I'm a DJ in the last couple of years. I just do stuff that seems fun to me, I guess. Yeah.
There's also Brothers Green, and
then, so Brothers Green would be the DJ side of it, and I mean I don't really DJ outside of that very much, but I've definitely considered it. I do it for friends and stuff like that, just for fun. But yeah, that's fun. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but it's good.
Yeah. So how did you get started in music?
I think the immediate connection was probably with my dad, who was a musician as well. Yeah. Played in bands in the 60s. When, he saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, had to have a guitar, started the band, did the whole thing. Everybody had matching Fender, everything. And he actually got just for a quick backstory on him, he was in a car wreck, I think one night coming home from a gig, maybe in Oklahoma City. And long story short, he was sort of thrown halfway out of the vehicle. He was like hanging out of the vehicle when the car crashed. And his friend pulled up behind them and took him home, where the other guys maybe had more prominent injuries, and they went to the hospital. In the middle of the night, he woke up like a really bad sort of abdominal pain and realized, like, okay, I'm bleeding internally. I have to go to the hospital. Yeah. So he was in there for, I might get this wrong, but it was like 3 or 4 months. Several blood transfusions, all these sort of things. And his father at the time signed him up for college at Oklahoma State in the meantime, when all he wanted to do was be a musician. Yeah. But he had a bit of a change of heart being in the hospital for that long and having his life saved by these professionals and stuff like that. So he became a physician, but at this period of time in the late 60s, early, I think it was the mid-70s, he was going to medical school. He got a lot of money in loans. Yeah. Student loans and things like that. And so he spent all the money he had basically on all the equipment he ever wanted. Yeah. And so I lived up growing quite a charmed life as far as just having a lot of instruments around. Yeah. They turned out to be, really expensive vintage instruments, which I didn't know about, Sure. I found out pretty quickly the first time I dropped one of our Hofners. Oh. Yeah. Broke the neck joint on a Hofner Beetle bass. And I found out really quick, like, all right, it's cool that you use this stuff, but you need to know what it is. Yeah, take care of it a little bit better. But yeah. So I grew up playing drums with him all the time. I'd sit in with his band. He found me a drum teacher really, really early on, like around five years old, something like that. And I took from that teacher on and off. And about 6th grade, I really, really committed. And it was just like, okay, am I going to play hockey or am I going to play music? And once I started, playing with basically men, being like a 16, well, at that age, I probably would have been like 12 or 13, but they kind of bumped us up into a higher league. The guys were creaming me on the ice, and I was just like, all right, I'm out. I'm going to go play music instead. Yeah. So it was really that on. Yeah.
If you can't beat other dudes in hockey, you might as well beat on the drums.
I was used to be, I'm 6'3". I was used to being the big guy. And then when all of a sudden I wasn't anymore, it was like, I'm out, man.
So is drums your primary instrument?
Yeah. I started as a drummer really probably out of necessity. My dad needed a drummer, that sort of thing. And he taught me some cool stuff. I think he taught me like a Honky Tonk Woman or something like that. It was one of the first songs I'd ever learned to play. So anybody hating on me for putting a cowbell on the Pink record, they can thank my dad for that. It's a color music record. But yeah. So I started as as a drummer, and that was what I was always interested in. And between going to my drum teacher and playing at home, I was always playing with records, and I was just as much into hip hop as I was rock and roll, classic rock, or whatever. And I was an idiot, man. I mean, I didn't know back then that like that wasn't actual people playing those drums. Like a lot of those drums were multi-layered and they're sequenced or they're sampled plus something else. I didn't know. So to me, it was the coolest thing in the world to try and figure out or recreate that stuff. So my kind of love for drums really stemmed between like this sort of, I don't know, like Mercy beat type stuff, like classic British Invasion type rock music and like hip hop back and forth between those two things.
It's cool.
But yeah, and it progressed. Like, I'd play in cover bands and things like that. And my guitarist and bass player didn't get really excited when I'd step up and like teach them how to play whatever they were supposed to play. Because I'd start learning bass along with it. I just figured it'd be easier than guitar. And later found out it's like, oh man, this is your other half of the rhythm section. This is how you can fit together, and I kind of slowly figured that stuff out. But yeah, when I get up and be like, well, the bass line actually goes like this, they got kind of upset about that. And so I started finding other people that, that wanted to be better. You know? And kind of shed the people who just wanted people to think they were great the way that they were. That sort of thing. It wasn't until I think maybe my junior or senior year in high school that I learned how to play guitar. It's kind of hard to play a drum solo for a girl in the middle of a field at a keg party. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was that was it. It was just like, well, I have to be able to do this, and I want to be more than a drummer. Which is nothing for drummers to be ashamed of, just being a drummer. It's an amazing thing. I just wanted to be considered a songwriter a little bit more than a drummer, I guess. And it's kind of a cool thing because, you see anymore, a lot of drummers have studios because you have to have the space for it. Yeah. You have to have the mics for it, and so you see people or drummers especially, kind of taking control and doing a lot more than, like I said, I hate saying this, but just being a drummer. And I guess what I mean by that is like adopting some sort of production, skill set and just kind of knowing what you're doing. For me, it was like, all right, I have to figure out how to book the tour, and I have the van, and But I think it's just part of your personality. If you like to do stuff, you kind of become the person that makes it all possible. But yeah, so it went to guitar for a little while there, and I just, like I said, I wanted to start recording and writing my own songs and that sort of thing. And then it wasn't until college I kind of decided to play piano. And took a class at Oklahoma State. It was a pedagogy class, so I was being taught by other piano students. But the most important thing was that I had access to an upright piano and a grand piano and stuff like that. It's like, that's all. As long as I get a key and I can be down here all night long, like, I'm gonna be good. So I remember doing my recital, and I'd memorized it, and they were blown away by that. It's like, are you serious? I mean, this is pretty easy. I can play this other thing too now. It was that kind of thing. But I did that for a couple of months. And I was approached by the drummer in Color Music at the time and said, hey, you can play bass, right? I was like, yeah, I'm a bass player, but I know a better bass player. It's my friend. I play piano. And he was like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, I play piano. So I didn't know what I was doing.
You gotta upsell everything.
Exactly. So I got a copy of the record, and I learned those songs really quick. And Colin and I tried out, and we played like half of a song. I think it was a gospel song. And they were like, no, you guys care. Like, you actually learn the songs, like, you're in.
Cool.
Which was really cool. And then it just, gave me another outlet to, like, pour everything into. So Ryan, who teaches at ACM here with me right now, we're still doing it. We're releasing another record right now.
Yeah. I'm going to wait to ask that question at the end with the plugs. But one sort of, like, musical question while we're here, what's been your biggest musical hurdle, and then what's something that you're trying to improve on now?
I would say my biggest musical hurdle is never really taking theory seriously. I've learned it 2 or 3 times throughout my career, and just not really used it to its fullest extent, and then if you don't use it, you lose it type thing. So I could definitely use, we were talking about counterpoint earlier. I could definitely use just a music theory lesson again, but at the same time, I get I get a lot of work right now, and I have a ton of stuff I need to do. I just think that, especially in my writing, it could be a little bit more interesting. But that's my biggest hurdle is like kind of going back and forth and going through a period of time of like kind of being ashamed of not reading music, but at the same time, I'm doing everything I've ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I think probably within a year or two, I'll carve out a little pocket of time. It's just like you make yourself better at different things all the time. You know? And it kind of needs to hit you whenever. But I would say that's probably my biggest hurdle of not being able to do both, because I've always been able to play by ear and just pick something up and make sound with it, or put some chords together and that sort of thing. But it's just not a good idea to be ignorant on any subject, So that's probably my biggest thing. Getting better. I spent a long time getting away from being a drummer, so I like to kind of get back into being a drummer a little bit more. I want to train my weak hand. I'd like to. I never really learned like paradiddles or rudiments, anything like that, or even played with music. I always played with musicians, or
right.
Yeah, I never read, sight read. I would sight read and mix chorus and stuff like that, and that was always easy. And went to state competitions and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I guess there was never anything in school that I was necessarily interested in to do with music. So I kept mine outside of school all the time. And so it was just like reading music and, writing this down or, taking notation on a song I just wrote. That sounds like work. Like, let me just go record it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also feel like whenever, especially since you started at like a younger age, whenever you're like a teenager and like some authority is telling you like, hey, do this work, you're automatically being like, I don't want to do that.
And that exposure too, I had a trap set. Like, I'm not going to just play a snare drum today. And like, no, I have a whole drum kit that I can play right now, and I earn money with it on the weekends. Like, I'm not,
exactly.
It's just not really that interested in that sort of thing. But I do wish that I had that sort of definition in both of my hands. I wish I had that sort of skill set, but it's just something that I'll grab, like right now I'm working on a bunch of other stuff, and it's like trying to get better and get back into singing and things like that. So it's like you just pick them off a little bit at a time. But yeah, those are definitely my two for sure.
You kind of talked a little bit how you got into color music. How'd you get into the Flaming Lips and that whole mess?
I mean, it's kind of one big story. I really like to tell the story a lot. Because I don't think I'm responsible for this happening, I don't think I did any one thing necessarily. It was 1,000 little things, I grew up in Ponca City, later moved to Stillwater, Oklahoma for Oklahoma State. I stayed there for about 9 years, including schooling. I graduated in 4.5. Don't worry about that. But I hung out there because it was so cheap. And we could have a studio space, and we were, color music was touring back and forth to Europe and the United States or whatever. It just made sense. But things were starting to fizzle out a little bit in Stillwater. The bands that we were surrounded by weren't really around us anymore. And you didn't have that healthy competition or really even that feeling of a scene that we had while we were there. What I mean is like bands like Mayola or Other Lives, and there was Kunik before. Brother Bear kind of came out of that. Deer People were on the tail end of that. But there was just a lot of cool stuff happening in Stillwater. And it wasn't really happening anymore. At the same time, I'd gotten the offer to teach here at ACM. And so I was teaching maybe 1 or 2 classes and driving back and forth from Stillwater. My wife was working here, and she was driving back and forth. And we were both like, this sucks. Like, let's not do this anymore. I'm like, no, totally, because I want to be in Oklahoma City around the bands that I want to be around, And my singer in color music was in the city half the week anyway. It was like, we're not going to lose, this is going to be fine. So I really did want to move down here and be around more people, that we could collaborate with or whatever. So I think being down here, being closer to the school, being around Scott a little bit more, who was our manager already, Scott Booker, CEO of the school and, manager of the Lips and color music. And, I was around, I've been doing stuff, I've been posting on social media, whatever it was, however I was putting my name into the ether as being a drummer or whatever. And one time I was on vacation with my family. I got a phone call like 8 o'clock in the morning from my manager, which is like something's wrong. Like somebody's dead. Like what happened,
Sure.
So not that Scott doesn't wake up early, but it's just like he doesn't have any business that he needs to call me about at 8 in the morning.
Sure.
You know, it's like send me an email. So when he called, I thought maybe they needed somebody at like Pink Floor that afternoon or something like that to play drums because somebody was out of town. And he said, Wayne's, making some personnel shifts, and we need somebody quick. And it's funny because the first thing I said to Scott was like, well, what about Matt Duckworth, who was in the band with me as well? And he was like, no, we're talking about that. I think the idea is that Matt might be too busy or might have committed to other tours to where he can't do some of the dates. So Wayne wants to talk to you about being the new drummer on the Lips. And I was like, okay, all right, well, yeah. So I got off the phone and immediately talked to my wife about it. And she had some pretty great immediate insight. She was like, well, if you're going to do it with anybody, you got to do it with them because they fly out of Oklahoma City and they're always gone, but they're always home. And I was like, well, it's true. We can kind of tell that from social media. And I was like, whoa, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean for color music? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I went through all that, and really more than anything, it was about like, can I get the gig or not?
Yeah.
So I just started studying like crazy and went through I think it was their latest live recording somewhere in Paris, And it was funny because a lot of those songs were from a record called The Terror that they had just toured, and they didn't really plan on playing a whole lot from it anymore. So I learned all these songs only to really like go back and learn another kind of greatest hit set that we really started playing. But then all of that was kind of futile for me because Matt and Wayne and I eventually just had a sit down and talked about like, how are we going to do this? Okay, so when Matt's in town, he's going to drum, and when you're in town, you're going to drum. Okay, that sounds cool. Well, you're both in town for like 4 months, and we got shows, so why don't we play with both of you? And what would that be like? And we just kind of had that conversation.
Yeah.
There's no template. There's no, there's no like, okay, you're going to sign this thing and you're in the band or whatever. It was like, try it on. You might be the best player in the world, but you might totally suck to travel with, like, that's the things you don't really think about. And especially young musicians don't think about. And personally, if it was up to me, I'd take somebody who's like mediocre or average, but awesome to be around and makes me a better person to be around.
It's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would take them over, a virtuoso any day. But that's kind of what eventually started happening. So Matt, by my admission, is a much better drummer than me. I mean, he does have all those rudiments, and he has those chops, and he plays several different styles. I've always been a sort of an artist drummer at the core. And what I mean, not that he's not an artist, but it's more self-interested.
Sure.
Like I didn't really spread out and like master the drum kit or even set out to do that. I tried to be dangerous enough at everything, and then know how to kind of cobble it together in a recording. And that's the artist thing. It's like, I don't really care about this or that or whatever. I care about what I want to know about, And my thing was, just being really ham-fisted or playing like this sort of hip-hop style and that sort of thing. And it kind of became what color music's, drum sound was or whatever, but that's just kind of what I was doing. Matt can play anything, and he does on anybody's record and with like 10 different bands when he's not on tour with the Lips and stuff like that. So we kind of figured that out really quickly, or already knew that between us. But I'd been spending a lot of time with a sampler and electronics just because of my love of hip hop, and I was already using one in color music and stuff like that. And so Wayne was kind of moving in a direction already, maybe of moving away from backing tracks. They had this thing that when the Lips started using backing tracks, people thought it was like sacrilegious, and it's just a kind of a testament to like, this is art, and we can do it however the hell we want to. This is music, and we make the music that we want to make now, and we play it live with a tape or whatever. So they kind of pushed through that, and Steven would be recorded playing drums, and then he would actually play keyboard and guitar live and sing and things like that. But they were trying to get away from that because, and color music was too. We had just done that with our last record, because we had learned about backing tracks from the Flaming Lips, watching them and be like, wow, look at all the cool things that you can do with it. You can bring in a horn section halfway through the song and there's no horn player and people are like, what is all that sort of stuff. So we loved and embraced that side of it, but we also started to feel, okay, once you start this song, you're on a roller coaster, and it doesn't stop until it's off, unless the tape dies, and then the entire song stops, and there's ups and downs that go along with both of them. So Wayne was really interested in figuring out ways to make the live set a little bit more musical, and the fact of not abandoning the live tape, but me really getting into master tracks and chopping up pieces, and maybe I'll play a phrase here that's a large sort of a vocal, maybe it's a chorus, singing like 40-piece chorus, singing this thing that they had layered in the studio, or or maybe they're just electronic drum sounds, and I'm gonna double over the acoustic kit. I mean, there's any number of weird different samples that I go through or whatever, but I had the experience in that, so it was like, cool. Why can't we just work together and chop some of the stuff up? And to be honest, it was really kind of relieving, I think, for both Matt and I to go like, all right, we got a partner. And kind of reworking how we're going to do some of this stuff. And, with a few different rehearsals, and one of them was about 14 hours, I think.
Jeez.
We had a show together in a month. You know what I mean?
Cool.
We really didn't spend a month on it, though. We spent like less than a week. It was a lot of preparation. It's a lot of me figuring out, okay, I'm going to have to cut samples in practice and get really quick at it, and still not that quick. You could be the fastest person in the world, but if, you're bouncing, a long, phrase sample or whatever, you're either going to sit there or you're going to offline bounce it and then have to sit there and listen to it to make sure that it doesn't pop or whatever. But you just, you get kind of quicker at that. Now I know this thing's inside and out. And Matt and I just complimented each other in this really awesome way. We got to do that with the lip stuff. We got to do that with the Miley stuff. I mean, we got together 2 weeks before everybody else and chopped everything up and started looking at like, okay, this kind of sounds like something that maybe Steven might play, or maybe Derek will play, or maybe Jake will play. So we'll lay off of that. And then, okay, well, let's grab these drum samples. Let's grab this stuff. Like, what's the most interesting way that we can do it? And there's the first level of like pulling it off. And then there's the second level of like, well, does it look cool? Is it fun to play? Like, are you just a dude up there, hitting on the ones, or are you actually, getting into it and able to change something and be musical? And so we just get to go through those sort of phases together, and then it's been fun, man. It's been really fun.
So then, okay, what's your favorite thing about production, and then what's your favorite thing about live performance?
Oh man. My favorite thing about both of them is they sort of offset each other, right? Like, you get out and you start playing live enough and you long for the studio, and you sit in the studio long enough and you long to play live again. And there's great things and kind of really annoying things about both. But in the studio, I think I'm most excited about either breaking the rules, doing something nobody's ever thought about, misusing plugins, like all that sort of stuff. I think is really, really fun. Phasing is fun, distortion is fun, like all this sort of stuff, which is kind of an anti-attitude, or maybe a contrarian sort of attitude. But it's important to know those rules to be able to break them. To come in and not really know what you're doing and to stumble across stuff, that's fun too. But yeah, I like to, I love using like guitar pedals on drums and stuff like that. It's like, why do guitarists have to have all the fun? So yeah, production is, for me, to be able to do it in a room that's about probably, I don't know, I would say like 7 foot by 10 foot. Like, that's what I have in my house. I've had massive studios in the past, and I've never gotten more done than I do right now. And so I've like really scaled everything down. It's like, what's the stuff that I use all the time? It's right here. It's constantly plugged in, and I can walk in and record. I'm really excited about that right now. And being able to work on the road, and have a small studio that doesn't take anything to drag it with you, and you can work all the time. Matt and I will work on remixes or put together, a new DJ mix or something like that.
Right.
And we'll be able to constantly work, and it's like, man, we live in good times. So the fact that your studio can be tiny and not cost you anything, and you can just really work like crazy. I used to get into those things when I was younger. It was like, got to save up $3,000, and once I do that, then I can start on my record, because I got to buy this piece of equipment or that or whatever. And I just started realizing, like, oh, these are just excuses. Like, this is going to happen forever. If I can't make it with the Tascam that I own, or with GarageBand and some loops and whatever it is, like, I should be making music because that's what I want to do, not because I'm saving up for some stupid thing. You know, your fans never know if you rented that thing or if you bought it, or
Right.
you know, if it's a plug-in, or you know, fans just they can't tell that stuff. So why is it so important to me? So, yeah, my favorite is like sort of getting by in the studio, learning something from everybody I work with. Man, I got to sit in with Raglan the other day. Dustin Raglan is, you know, dare I say, a genius, but he's just really fun to be around and to watch him work. And I do that anytime. Like I'm around somebody in the studio, I'm like, what are you doing there? Oh, that's a really good idea. That's cool. So just like this thing, you know, this podcast thing, hopefully you get to learn something, you know, one little thing from everybody, you know. So that I love that in the studio, and live is the same, you know, all the people you get to play with. And I remember one of the things, like when I started playing with the Libs, so certain things were like so much more professional than I'd ever seen before, and other things were like just as like lo-fi or worse than I'd ever seen. And it was kind of cool to see. It was like, oh, okay, so like you don't have to have it all figured out, and you don't have to spend the most money on a video wall or you know, whatever it is that we're talking about. You know, Wayne's really amazing about getting things done on a giant scale with a tiny price tag. I say tiny. I mean tiny compared to most people. And it still costs a lot of money, and I'm sure Booker would be like, "What are you talking about? We spend money on everything." But it's really about the idea getting across, you know, and seeing what's important and seeing what's not. And sometimes we can buy into the idea of like, well, if I pay a lot of money for something, that means it's good. It's like, well, not necessarily true, you know. So the live thing, I like being in front of people, man. I mean, like, it takes a certain type of person to get on stage every night and ask people to love you, you know. And I must have gotten a taste of that at a young age, and you know, there's nothing like it, you know. There's really not. I love to travel. I love that about the live side. But yeah, I mean, it's just there's a reason we all do it, you know. I don't know if I can pinpoint what it is, but it feels good for sure.
What made you want to get involved in like the business and finance side?
Okay, that's a really good question. I wasn't initially interested in the music business. That was just kind of became a necessity after a while. It was like, oh, cool, we could be doing this better. We could be making more money. There's other things, you know. That's just kind of my, I don't know, my kind of inclination anyway. It's like, wait, what's this? And then you dive like way into it. With the finance degree from Oklahoma State, that was kind of a continuation of me trying to keep music separate from schooling. Schooling was this thing that I had to do, and music was my passion, you know. And so it was like, well, I don't want to go into the music department at OSU, no offense. But I didn't want to teach, and I never played in orchestra, never played in bands, so it just didn't make any sense to me at all. You know? And I was like, I'm already writing songs. I don't know what this composition thing is all about. You know, like I'm already doing that, but it's two totally different things.
Right.
It was really just kind of an ignorant attitude, but it helped me out and got me, you know, doing what I wanted to do. So I thought, well, you know, if I'm going to be a musician, I'll most likely be self-employed. If I'm going to own a studio, you know, it's going to be my studio. I don't really work for other people very well, you know. So in that fact, I was just like, well, I need to be able to take care of myself. So a marketing degree it's kind of like what you're talking about. You're getting your master's right now. You don't have to take counterpoint, but like, let's get it, right? So it was the same thing with the business degrees. It was sort of like, marketing, nah. Accounting sounds a little too boring. Like, if you want to get a really strong business degree, you get a finance degree. You know, that's kind of what the idea was at the time. So I did that. And I was learning about everything except for what I really needed to learn about. It was more like personal finance type stuff, you know? I'm like taking bond market classes. I'm taking, just, you know, tax, like accounting classes and cost accounting, like all this stuff that sort of goes along with it. And I started to realize, like, you know, whoever married money and time is like kind of an evil person, you know. and a lot of the stuff that it was teaching me, it was, you know, there's some ethics that go along with it, but a lot of it was like, if you can control somebody else's money, then you can start to peel off some of that money and start your own you know. It was this thing. It was just like, man, I don't think this would make me happy at all, really. But I tried, and you know, I wore business attire to a few of those job fairs and stuff like that. And it's just like, this sucks. Like, this is just not my world. Like, I don't know how to navigate in it really. And on paper, like, I don't really look any better than anybody else, but I'll guarantee you I'll work harder than other people. And it's just like, I just don't, this doesn't seem like the thing for me.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to finish out this finance degree. I got a minor in accounting. And I hung around an extra half semester. I would have graduated in 4 years, but my parents were cool enough to go like, we'll pay for another half semester to do the one thing in college you really, really want to do. And those Pro Tools classes. And they showed up, and my professor, he taught them that one summer. I think it was like a part of a summer and then maybe another semester. No, it's all good. And he taught them that one time. I took it with like 4 or 5 other people. And then at the end of it, he told us that he had taken a position at like some, I can't remember what school. It was like in Missouri somewhere, maybe in St. Louis. And he was like, so you guys are the only class that's ever going to be able to do this. And it was like, cool. Well, I graduated. I got my Pro Tools classes. I did actually take the one class that I needed the most, and that was a business law class taught partly by one of my favorite professors, Andy Urich. But it was all about like managing your money and paying off your student debt and managing your credit card debt and how to really buy a house, like how not to buy a house like an idiot, like go buy the brand new thing that you're overextended on the second you sign on it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he taught me so many like major life lessons that honestly, I took it as like, this is how you can be a musician for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, don't be an idiot. Spend money on the stuff you absolutely need to, and save money, you know, like design your life to where you can do the things you want to do, not what society, you know, advertises to you as how your life could be. Yeah. So, and that's what the class at ACM is based directly off of.
Got out of your class.
Yeah. As a business management for artists, that's exactly what it's for, you know? And it's a tough thing because I'm talking to students in there about like, yeah, this is how to prepare for your taxes. A lot of students at that time, when they're taking that class, they're still on their parents' tax return and never filed their own and never really made money off of music to where they would actually have to claim it, all that sort of stuff. But it's like, man, stuff that in your pocket and think about it later. Keep these books and work through them again later. Yeah. But in
fact, I gave that book to my dad.
That's awesome. I love that, man. I hear that a lot, and people are like, "Thank you for that." It's like I didn't write the book, right? But yes, you're welcome for bringing you to it for sure. But no, it's just a really great system, you know, and it's simple enough that anybody could do it. But so that whole business thing. I like to hack everything. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. If it's a guitar pedal, I'm going to open it up and try and mod it or something. You know, it's that sort of thing. How can we make this better or make it to where nobody else knows how to do it or whatever that is? So, yeah, I mean, the business thing came out of it was like, you know, we'd been on a couple of labels and we'd talk to people and they were a lot of the time saying like, well, you know, we own your record and it's not really selling, so we don't want to put any more money in it, and you can't do anything else with it either, you know? So out of the frustration of that, I mean, Ryan and I were always learning about the music business, period, because we were trying to stay up and trying to take it seriously, you know? We have, you know, he especially has a lot of professionals in his family, and it's just like, you know, I'm going to take this as seriously as I possibly can. So we really all pushed each other to do that, but on the music business side, it was just like, man, this is a thing that I got. You know, this is a knack that I have. And I love it. You know, it's fun. It's creative. To me, I think it's just as creative, if not more creative sometimes than the artwork itself, because a lot of times you find people that are really good at one thing, but they're really only chasing it because it's popular at the time. And it's like, well, that's not very artistic to me. I don't think if you're that sort of third, you know, tier of creativity. You know, there's the first one who's the innovator and the one who realizes it but actually can capitalize on it, and the third one that just carbon copies it. So there's a lot of people that are going along going, yeah, I can do this thing. And it's like, well, that's cool as long as that thing's popular. But the thing about music is we go in cycles, you know? So if you get really great at one specific type of music or, you know, producing this type of beat or this and that, it's like you got to keep that going or figure out better ways to sell it. And it brings you back to the other side of it, you know. Booker said something to me a long time ago that always stuck, but he was like, everybody has the right to make music, but not everybody has the right to sell it. And so I was sort of like, whoa, you know, it took me back for a second. And I was like, I don't think you can say that, but it's totally true. You know, I mean, when you're selling an album to somebody, it needs to be something they like. And if it's not, they're not going to buy it. And most, I'm guilty of this as well. I mean, most artists immediately, like if their record isn't selling or people don't care about their band, they're not coming to see them live, start lashing out at other people and finding all these excuses for why it's happening.
Yeah.
But comes down to it, your show sucks and your songs suck. Like that's the whole thing. And nobody wants to hear that. But I'm the type of person that likes to work, from based on facts, and I can take them even if they're terrible about me. Chances are I probably already know it. Like you're not a good singer. That's why people don't like your song. Like exactly. That's why I'm taking vocal lessons right now.
Sure.
It's like I want to know that stuff and fix it and get better at it. A lot of people just want to be told that they're great the way that they are. So when it's a weird thing telling students that and trying to be fair and balanced, but at the same time honest, because it's like, if you don't want to work very hard, like that actually helps me and the public. Like when we get out into the private sector and we're both playing music and you don't want to work very hard, like, cool, I don't have to worry about you. You're never going to be my competition.
Sure.
But I want them to be successful. And so you get to this point where it's like, all right, we're going to have to get hypercritical and we're going to talk about ways that they can be better. But you have to be in tune, It's like selling anything else. You can be an artist and make songs in your bedroom and record them and put them on SoundCloud and never sell them or whatever. Be amazing. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, But everybody wants to be successflike Everybody wants to make a lot of money. They want to at least earn their living, and those are two totally different things,
Yeah.
So I like to be honest with students in a way that can get them somewhere where they get to some sort of new level of self-realization, because after a while, people aren't going to be telling that anymore. They might be telling them, but it's just on an Instagram, comment that comes from nowhere and just ruins your day. It's like if your buddy who you respect tells you that and tells you a way to get over it or this and that, like that's valuable information. So honestly, in a long roundabout way, that's how I got into music business, and that's how I got into just really doing this professionally as well. But yeah, you got to be great. That's the thing. If you're not great, why should somebody buy it? Just because they're your friend or your grandma or whatever. It's like they're not going to support you with those album sales or those ticket sales or whatever. So
yeah. I was gonna ask, like, what's sort of the first thing that you should think about whenever you are trying to go into music, but you kind of already like.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the threshold that I talk about in class and then coming into my office. It's like in class, I'm PC. I keep it. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm trying to be very factual and leave it there. But it's like, if you want to talk about your career and you want to ask me what my opinion is about it, like, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure? Because you got to be ready, And I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm just trying to say, to me, this hits me immediately as derivative of this. And so I put it in another category that I'm like, well, it's not as good as that. So I'm not, So I'll do whatever it is, for that student that needs to be said,
Yeah.
But the first thing that a student needs to know, I was actually thinking about this on the way over here. The first thing that they need to know is they need to align their ambitions with what they're actually willing to do. And what I mean by that is to have a serious career in the music industry, you have to have a long-term career. Yeah. And our ambition usually, and mine included, but it's getting worse with students being younger and younger and seeing sort of overnight successes or what they think are overnight successes through social media and stuff like that. And then TV shows like The Voice and American Idol don't really help, because it's like, well, I could sing in church my whole life and then be on TV for 5 minutes and then win this competition or whatever, and then my life changes. It's like, well, kind of, but there haven't been a lot of those people who have gone on to have really great long careers. There's been a few, but it's about the same percentage of anybody else coming out of nowhere and having a long career. So what I would say is, I mean, even Bieber, who looked like he showed up when he was 10 and had it all or whatever, that kid was groomed for years and years and years by his manager. So it's like, don't get in too much of a hurry. When we get to that culture of like, I made this song, 2 hours ago and it's already on SoundCloud and people can listen to it. It's like, you go back to the Three Little Pigs, if you build this house with straw, you did it in 2 seconds. It's A, not going to last very long. B, it's not your best work, obviously, because you didn't spend very much time on it. So I like to, especially the way that I work with Ryan, it's like, we work on stuff for a while, but those records don't sound like any period of time, with color music, which is great because if anybody finds it at a record shop, or more likely online now, they'll go like, did this come out yesterday or did this come out 20 years ago or whatever?
Yeah.
And that's cool for me. That's exciting for me because, it's not like picking up a good Charlotte record and being like, oh, that was 2001, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or whatever, 2003,
Sure.
And that's kind of the important thing to me. So if it's important for the student or for the person entering the music industry to be famous immediately, dude, you just need to do something ridiculous. Put it on, make a really great video for it. Put it on YouTube. You can offend people if you want to take it that route. You could do something really funny if you want to take it that route. It could be extremely heartfelt and revealing if you take it that route or whatever. But if that's what you want and you want to be in front of people and you want people to know who you are immediately, there's a way to do that, you know? But those don't always transfer into long-term careers unless you make some really great decisions after that. But if you poise yourself to really achieve the things that you're interested in, like building a tour, starting small and doing weekend tours and making it across the U.S. and building a name and building relationships and stuff like that, you'll have a much longer career in that regard. And you won't be so desperate for management or a booking agent, or a publisher. Whereas, to be honest, I mean, it's where I make the majority of my money from most of my other than the lips, like is from publishing, which is, it's just like this curtain, this dark curtain and nobody really knows what's behind it, and it's funny this day and age, there's still not like one way to get your song on a movie or on a commercial or whatever. But if you want those sort of things, then be okay with them happening slowly and make sure that you're doing the things in the meantime that really matter to what you need to do tomorrow. Because I see bands like, borrowing a bunch of money or saving a bunch of money and then spending it on something just ridiculous. And they thought like, man, if we all got like in-ear monitors, like we'd really get to the next level. It's like, no, that's not it. Or what if we gave this guy that we've never met $2,000 to do a college radio campaign for us? And it's like, just because you pay a lot of money for it doesn't mean it's going to help you. So align those ambitions. Do you want to be in it for the long haul? Make those small decisions every single day to make sure you're doing that. Come to ACM if you need a little time to figure it out, whatever that is, or just curate your education online, whatever you're trying to do. But if you just want like attention, there's really great ways to do it without spending a bunch of money on education doing it, But fair warning, that stuff doesn't last usually, So it's that mixture, and a lot of times when those things are misaligned, I hear about it as an instructor or a program director, like, you didn't make me famous, or you didn't give me a job, or you didn't do this. And it's like, well, I mean, when I went to Oklahoma State, nobody promised me a job when I got out. I mean, I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Nobody told me I was going to be, a financial analyst or a planner or maybe an accountant for somebody. Nobody guaranteed me any of that stuff. It was all about how hard I worked. And I didn't work very hard at it because I didn't care about it. I worked my ass off. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
I worked my ass off as a musician trying to figure out how to get out of state and then, get out of the country and then get overseas and all that sort of stuff. Like, that's what I spent my time doing, and it worked. So it's, if you want to sit around and play Xbox all day and, make something in Ableton that afternoon and put it on SoundCloud, that's great, and if you get popular from it or famous or whatever, that's even better. But you have to be thinking about that sort of stuff to really keep it, to keep it going. So it's up to them. I know what I like to do. So, it's weird, but I like spending time in spreadsheets, whether it's people to email or it's figuring out how much money I made or how much money I owe or something like that. It's time for me to be meditative and to figure out, like, how can I do it better the next time? It's the same way that you can sit in a DAW, or I could sit in a DAW for hours and hours, like just messing with stuff, that may not matter, but it's just because that's what we like to do, So, if this is something you like to do, make sure that you have some idea that's based in reality of what it's going to take to do it.
Last one on the music side. Where do you see the music industry going but also where would you like for it to go?
I think that's a great question. As a precursor to that, like one of the things that bugs me the most is how people talk about this sort of heyday or golden period of the music industry. It didn't exist. It doesn't exist. If you want to talk about the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s is this like beautiful period of time where people were selling an overpriced piece of plastic to us, and ripping us off or whatever. Like that's the golden period. I don't know about that. I mean, I know I spent a lot of money on it, but the only people that really got rich were record executives. Those artists didn't. I mean, for the most part, most of them didn't make it out very well. So I don't really think that was a golden period, whether it was talking about music or talking about the business side or just bands in general. So I never want to get back to that for sure.
Yeah.
I never want to get back to limited access, limited availability. Because, I mean, when you think about it, like, I grew up in Ponca City, so my only outlet at the time, because we didn't have mom and pop record stores, it had all been killed off by, Best Buy and Tower Records and Walmart and Hastings was my particular poison in town. So they were amazing at the same time because they brought in magazines and things like that from the UK, Q Magazine, NME, all that stuff just opened my world, and I could get all my records from them. But it was weird to me, like if I special ordered a record, I'd spend 20, 30, 40 bucks on it sometimes, if it was a double, CD or something like that. And I had no problem doing that, But everything else, it was like I would look in the used bin for it or just buy it off the shelf at whatever price there was. Well, sometimes you get some record that you loved exponentially and you'd find it for $6 in the used bin.
Yeah.
And then you'd buy a record that you didn't really care very much about, but it's cool and your friends are all listening to it and there's like only one song on it and you'd spend like nearly 20 bucks on it or whatever. I always thought that was really screwed up. That was such a weird thing. That was like, man, this record I would buy 10 times over, and if it meant that I was giving money directly to the band, I would pay 2 times as much or just buy 2 copies, So with things like Bandcamp to where you can pay what you want, whether it's nothing or it's, or it's at least $5 and you can overpay, like, I love that, man. That's insane. Like, why weren't the record companies thinking of that before? Because they were too busy thinking about, we need to get this amount of money from every single person that buys it. They didn't really think about like, well, there's tiers of fans. There's people that show up to the city festival because that's the only thing to do. There's people that will pack it in for 3 days, like way out in some remote area or whatever, and pay $300 a ticket because they really love these bands that are on here. Like there's there's differences in those fans, and they weren't really taking care of it. So I think it's more fun now than ever to be making music and to offer it to people in cool ways and to really I mean, more than anything, like, I'm going to be making music whether there's somebody there to listen to it or not, but it's pretty damn cool when there is somebody there to listen to it. So any chance you get to tell those people, like, hey, I really appreciate it, it's pretty cool. It's pretty damn cool. So when you are on a label, and I have been a couple of times, it just limits a lot of those things because all of a sudden your passion and your appreciation for the people that are supporting you, that all gets quantified into dollars and cents.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, you love them how much? Wait, you want to give them a full colored poster inside the vinyl? That's going to be an extra $3 for. We can't do that. And that stuff kind of sucks. And there's creative ways to work around that, but I think right now, you and I could make a record tomorrow and get the vinyl made for it within 5 or 6 months and put it out. I mean, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Like, we can distribute it worldwide. It's only going to get better. Yeah. There's, I say that it's a little scary with some of the political influence and things like that. I don't know how interested our current president is in copyright issues and stuff like that, but let's hope he doesn't take an interest at all. But from the standpoint of free enterprise, it's only going to get better. Because if you look at like TuneCore, CD Baby, those companies that have been digitally distributing smaller artists for years, they're having employees leave those companies and start their own companies that are more forward thinking, that are going like, well, we could eliminate our entire collections office and a giant headache if we didn't take any of these artists' royalties at all. Well, how do we make up for that revenue? Well, let's put them on a subscription service that allows them to upload an unlimited amount of music a year, and they have to pay that $20 every year, you know, instead of like the $50 one time, but we have to hire somebody to go through and figure out all the disbursements for all of their plays each year, you know? So it's just people thinking about stuff that they love and making it better a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
The music industry is going to be amazing. You know, I mean, I'm not against subscription services. I'm not. I love the mixture of convenience and permanence that you can have today. You know, it's like I don't really buy a lot of vinyl without hearing it, or really without loving it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I bought CDs like crazy when I was a kid. I consumed music. And then realized pretty quickly, like, oh, this sucks. And a great thing about Hastings is you could take a CD back. You just get your money back straight up. And I did that a lot, but you can't really do that anymore. But I can try out that song on Spotify. You know, I can consider it. And because, you know, I wear a lot of different hats, maybe I don't really love it as a listener, but I do love it as a DJ. And I'm going to play it, you know, in a set or whatever. So it allows me to really consume music in a way that makes sense to me. And then for the stuff that I love, I go commit to it, and I show those artists I love it, you know?
Yeah.
If I'm not lucky enough to catch them on tour, when I'm on tour at a festival or something, then I'll buy a ticket to go see them. Or I'll buy their vinyl or this and that. And I'm, you know, completely devoted to certain artists, you know? And I love buying records that I love to listen to. But I also like to listen to about 100 songs a day, you know, and just chew through them, you know, and maybe that's a bad thing for those artists, you know, the fact that I didn't give them more than 15, 20 seconds of a listen.
Sure.
But at the same time, this is going to send me on another tangent. At the same time, like, from when I even started at the school, when I started teaching, because I think it was the attitude of the industry at the time, and it was definitely the attitude of our band, like, let's get the most fans we can possibly get. And that sounds cool, but do I really care about what somebody thinks about my band when I'm only like, you know, number 500 on their list of bands that they like? You know what I mean? I like to weigh people's opinions based on how much they're into it, you know? So if I have somebody who's like, you know, completely a devoted fan, like the Color Music record, we've been selling it. Oddly enough, we've been selling it in a really weird way where you have to get a hold of us personally to buy it. What that allowed us to do is shed our, you know, email list that was like over 1,000 people or whatever, down to about, you know, 120 people or something. You know what I mean? It's like, but these people would buy our record without hearing it for $10 for a digital download.
Yeah.
Like that says a lot to me. And, you know, to them, like, we have a lot of stuff in store for them because they did something really special for us, you know?
Yeah.
And it just gave us perspective of, like, I want 100 fans that I can guarantee I can sell 100 copies of this thing to.
Yeah.
I don't want 3,000 people on an email list and then, you know, like a tiny percent of it comes back. Because I'm bugging these people. I mean, we all get email that bug the crap out of us or whatever. It's like, I don't want to give you that. I mean, if you're in, come in, and you're part of the family.
Yeah.
But I don't need this like blanketed thing to where I paid somebody to, you know, boost my followers to 20,000 followers.
Sure.
Like all that stuff's just, it doesn't really do anything for you other than, you know, to the passerby going like, oh, got a lot of followers, you must be cool. And it's like, whew, that's a bad way to think about things, you know. You could just say something really stupid and get a lot of followers. Like, it's, you know, it's possible. So, it's about that quality of that experience. And yeah, maybe I'm not going to support myself solely on Color Music album sales. Sure, that's fine. But for us to put in the time, we want to do it for people that really care. And then I'll listen to those people all day long. Like, hell yeah, I want this type of vinyl, or I want this record, or I want these B-sides or this and that. It's like, all right, cool, we'll finish it then. Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah. That sounds cool, man. Like people want to talk about it and that sort of thing. Like, absolutely, let's do that again. So yeah, for me, the future is more about quality over quantity, you know, over like number of streams or this and that. It's about making a really great song that could possibly last forever, and it's about, you know, delivering those, especially those physical things, whether it's a t-shirt or a record. Like, I really want to take people into consideration when we do it. Yeah.
Normally at this point I start asking the spiritual side of questions.
Sure,
but
sure.
like now we've gotten onto the length of a podcast that's going on to like another episode.
You want to do part 1, part 2?
Yeah. So we'll do that on this one
Cool.
by way of the Dr. Pan's episode. So
All right.
in that case, stick around till next week and you'll get another Nick Lay episode. So Nick, thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, come on, you're asking me to talk about myself. I'm pretty good at that.
Where can we find you and your things?
Okay, so, man, you can probably find my phone number if you wanted to somewhere. So, look me up on ACM's website, acm.uco.edu.
Yeah.
If you want to know about the school, if you want to know about, I guess, more things with me, if you want to find an email for me or something like that. Colormusic.net. There's not really much there right now, but check out our Instagram at Color Music, spelled the proper English way, COLOUR music, all one word. And then you'll find an email there that you can buy a record from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but there's a lot of thought behind that. And then flaminglips.com, you can find all our tour dates. We're releasing stuff like crazy. We've got some cool stuff out right now, or that's about to come up. And then Brothers Green, which is spelled with 3 I's to make it easier to Google, because like there's a couple of dudes in New York that like cook together or something like that. Brothers Green, EE. So we changed it to the I thing, but yeah, it's just brothersgreen.com, and you can find out where we're touring and what parties we're doing and stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Again, thank you for doing this with me. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So I'm Santiago Ramones.
I'm Nick Lay.
You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. You can find my music. I have a demo there that you can pay $0 or however many dollars you want to pay for that.
Exactly.
And there's also some music on my SoundCloud and stuff. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, on Stitcher, and you can leave reviews or leave comments. Let me know what you think about it. And I always end my podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong.
That's good. I like those.